Hello everyone, it's me David here, and welcome to the next episode of Chilling3000 Hangouts. Hope everybody's doing well on this Friday, like myself. How you doing tonight, Danny?
I'm doing well, despite it being Friday the 13th.
Ooh. I wonder how that thing started, Friday the 13th.
It's an old superstition, but we all know it's
Yeah.
from the movie Friday the 13th. And then they had Friday the 13th Part 2, and then Part 3. And I think they did a few more after that, too. Crazy.
Yeah. What?
That's life.
Is that to celebrate what happened just now in baseball?
What's that, Danny?
Is that you're celebrating what happened in the baseball
Yes.
game just now? Okay.
And I also had this to finish these off.
The following is a public service announcement from David 3000.
Yankees suck.
This has been a public service announcement from David 3000.
That's right. So, to all those Yankees fans who thought you were going to win it after Aaron Judge hit that solo home run, like Danny here, you can suck it.
Well, they need George Costanza to work for them again, right?
I'm surprised with that certain clip you're still using the original logo.
I know, I mean, maybe when we're above 500, I might change it. But, anyway, hello to Mr. Jeffrey and Mr. Regar. But, tonight is a little bit of a different episode because we have to reschedule an interview, and also it's National Gameshow Month, so I didn't want to leave anything out. And also next week is the 6th anniversary special of my YouTube channel. And for those who didn't see last night's R&R, I announced that Randy West will be on the show next week. So 10:30 p.m. Eastern. It's gonna be a lot of fun and good timing with National Gameshow Month. So, something happened to email. So yeah, please stay tuned for next week. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun. I'm gonna plan out that episode a lot more, and hopefully, it'll be a great time. So. Without further ado, Danny, show us the tier list.
All right. Welcome to Wipe Those Tears.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
Whoops. Take that for Twitter. No, this is a totally different program. So.
Yes, but to help us out, we have one of the tier masters from that show, Mr. Brandon Bargard. Heavily, he'll come back in.
And credit to that show for, me trying to think of an idea of a different concept for this week instead of sort of staying distant. So
right.
and
no time in this was
his
like
laptop. His
Go
laptop
Power
is,
Rangers.
His laptop isn't starting.
Okay, we'll give him. Should we give him a minute?
Sure.
Okay. Yes, for those watching and anticipating, I'm going to do a tier list of most of the important game shows and some that aren't so important. But this tier list was made by our good friend Paige Shaw, aka Phenomenal One, I think in 2021 or 22. I might have been on the same call with him as we were making this, but nonetheless, it's a good tier list.
We never used it for a show, so
maybe we used it in a private call one time on an old server, but things change.
Mm-hmm. But this will be interesting to see how this goes. With this tier list that we haven't used on the stream before, and it's National Gameshow Month, so it's only fitting if we do it for National Gameshow Month.
Of course.
So I don't know if you ever told this story on how you got into game shows, but would like to explain for those who don't know how you got into game shows.
Not much of a story, but I guess when you see it as a 3-year-old kid, obviously it's gonna stick with you. So
that type of technology once again.
and I have vague memories of watching Game Show Network at the age of 4 or 5, definitely 5 at least, because I was in kindergarten.
5 for me, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Brandon, I'm curious. The other night when we were doing a little show, you had a shirt on that said "Game shows make me." What did the rest of it say? Or you can show it to us if you want.
Let's see.
I hope he has a closet with a bunch of Game Show shirts that are on. I wonder what he has.
People are buying Game Show stuff off my Redbubble this week, so must be something good about it.
It must have been this one.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I like that. Game shows make me happy. You, not so much. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gee.
I could say the same thing about a couple people in my family.
Oh.
Oh,
I won't say who, but
Yeah. All right. Yeah, someone bought a T-shirt of the Whammy, a poster of the Newlywed Game logo, a Friend or Foe poster, Jeopardy poster. Oh, this is great. Okay. All right, now Brandon, we're glad to have you since you're on the Wipe Those Tears show, so you could. Oh, that's nice. Oh, all right.
Oh, cool.
Oh, maybe that was you who bought those stickers from me.
no, my sister got this for me.
Oh, okay. That's great. Very nice. Very nice.
She tried to add like the Greed logo and some of the other top 10 my other top 10 game shows, but the graphics weren't that great.
What website was that bought of? What website was that bought of? Like, no.
I don't remember.
Oh.
Okay. All right, let's get into the tier list. We have our 6 categories: instant classic, great, good, average, meh, and trash. Does anyone have any other adjectives they'd like to throw in the category?
I think it's good as it is third thing.
What website is this on?
Tiermaker.com.
I know. Okay, US game shows tier. Okay.
Yeah.
You only US, hopefully. But
I'm gonna change trash to horrible.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna put Medicare as replacement. But...
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
David's gonna be on Medicare in a few years at this rate.
A host.
Okay, let's ignore this this ad at the bottom of the screen for I'm not even gonna attempt. Okay, let's start off with the first show, the $1 million Chance of a Lifetime. Now, I really don't know much about this show.
Average.
Let's tell the folks at home watching what it was about for a minute. The $1 million Chance.
I do remember about the show one time ago, but I never really watched it.
It was hosted by a $1 million annuitized grand prize to winning contestants, and it was hosted by Jim Lang, and Johnny Gilbert was the announcer for most of it.
Okay.
Brandon, do you know anything about this one?
Oh,
$1 million Chance
No.
of a Lifetime.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I guess the rule is that if none of us has seen the show, we'll put it in average.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, the $100,000 pyramid.
Wait a minute. I think I remember we tried to do this on the other Wipe Those Tears.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, this should be fun.
All right. Continue, Danny.
Okay. Do we want to move on from the $1 million Chance of a Lifetime?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We don't have to go into detail for everyone, so
All right. Next up, the $100,000 pyramid. I think that's
it's a classic. Yes.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, Dick Clark, and then Michael Strahan doing a wonderful job at it these days.
Oh yes. Do they still film it in New York?
No, they filmed that in LA, I believe.
Okay. That's fair. But Go on to the next one.
The next one is 1 versus 100, hosted by a Mr. Bob Saget.
Before.
Average. I say good.
I haven't seen that much of this show in a long time. I watched it maybe 12, 13 years ago, back when Games Network was showing it. I will say it is a lot better than the 2011 GSN Revival hosted by Carrie Ann Inema. On that version, they had all the people on Skype, back when Skype was a thing. Nowadays, you could probably do 1 versus 100 on Zoom. But being the Bob Saget version, I think it could be good. Brandon, what do you think?
Well, I was okay with the webcam part on the Carry On and Abba version. What I don't get was like, shoot, this is really hard for me because I can't tell which gameplay was better.
I would think that the NBC versions was better.
I mean, which NBC?
Oh, you're right. Because they had 2 seasons and they changed it up. That's right. Season one.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Because season 2, they just made it a strict money tree where you only move up a certain amount for every 10 people you eliminate. Whereas in season 1, you would get a few $1,000s and it would go up every person you eliminate. So season's 1 gameplay was probably better. Even though season 2's gameplay was the only one to give us $1 million winner, but
there, Mike.
Okay, yeah, well, and I'll say 1 versus 100 is good. So all clear. Okay, next up, $25,000 pyramid. This is the Dick Clark version, but let's not forget the $25,000 pyramid was first hosted by Bill Cullen in the 1970s. Although we only have a few episodes to prove it, that's why
when the new one came out, they had to rename it the new one because the Bill Cullen one was still running on some stations.
Yeah, in reruns. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but 25. Yeah, of course, that's an instant classic. I think there's no denying that. Now let's go to the short-lived $50,000 pyramid. It's basically
I forgot about that one.
The same pyramid as you can get. This is the only version that has never been rerun on Game Show Network or anywhere else for that matter.
But it is the first pyramid game show to feature the tournament structure.
That's correct. And it only lasted about 1 year, I think it was, like 1981. And then that was the last version to be on the original set. Or the the $10,000 pyramid set was more orange in color, whereas the 20,000 was more bluish. And I think they taped the 50,000 on just about the same set. And then after that, they moved away from New York and went to California to start the $25,000 one, and about a year later. So
didn't a lot of game shows move to California?
Yeah.
Back at that time.
But 1 year. That's how long the Burkle podcast lasted.
Yes, and that's also how long the $50,000 pyramid lasted. It's basically pyramid, except that the clock, instead of counting backwards, that counted forwards on the show, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It counted forward. That's about the only major glaring difference.
And also, the Game Show Central channel on Pluto. That's also how long it lasted. Game Show Central, the Game Show. The Game Show channel up to the war had nothing but TSN.
No, that one's still going on.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I meant as for popular wise.
The novelty wore off, maybe, but okay. I think 50,000. It's not as much of an instant classic as the others, frankly, because it only lasted a year. But I think it's still great. All right. Any thoughts about that, guys?
As for
50.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot easier than the GSN's The Pyramid.
Yes. we might. I don't know if that one's on this list. We'll see. Okay, next up we have a show called The Bargain Hunters. Now it's a show I've never seen, but I know for a fact that the show's own host, the late great Peter Tamarkin, called this show a quote unquote piece of shit. And wow. I believe this was Randy West would know for sure, but I believe this was the show or one of the shows where some of the episodes were never filmed because Peter stormed off the set in a fit of rage. And it lasted only 2 months, July 6th to September 4th, 1987 on ABC. Well, ABC, they've come on ABC, yeah. They've come a long way since then, given with all the great games they have on now.
Yeah, and also like sport primetime events.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, do we have to really put it in the horrible one? Can't we just make another another line that says "never heard of"?
Well, no, I've heard of it. I think it should. I think it should go in horrible because I know that its own host called it a piece of shit. So that's the way I'm gonna do it.
Ouch. Okay.
All right. Rest in peace, Peter, wherever
Mhm.
you are. Okay. Next we have blockbusters. Let's call it the Bill Cullen version.
Okay.
What do we think, guys? Is it great? Is it good? Average?
I will say it is good. Despite that, I really would like to make a few changes if it comes back.
Oh, what would those be?
If they ever, I wouldn't do like the.
Oh, sorry. I had the wrong button.
Okay. As I was saying, I would not do the team versus one player like on the Bill Cullen version.
Yeah, you would have it just a 1v1.
And that plus for one versus one on that version of Blockbusters, I would start with the first round having all 5 sides connect 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
I actually remember I even have a photo of an example like that somewhere right here. I can find it.
All right.
David, what do you think of blockbusters?
Yeah, I think you put it in the right place right there with the nose.
Yeah, I'll say that I do enjoy the Cullen version more than
Bill Cullen. Bill Cullen is a great game. So.
Okay. Oh,
cool.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Next one, Danny.
Okay. I just got to say a few more things about blockbusters. Yeah, Bill Cullen's version is probably better, even if it's 2 versus 1 person. And this is one of those games that only lasted a few years here in the States, but in England, they loved it. Blockbusters went out for a long time in England. It even made a joke in a British episode of The Office. Okay. Let's go with Break the Bank. What's that?
They did?
Yeah, in an episode of the original British Office, there was an episode where they had a quiz, like a little trivia quiz in the office, and apparently one of the people who worked there said he was on Blockbusters back in the 90s, and Ricky Gervais's character was trying to show off and make himself look better at trivia, and he really just made himself look like a jerk. It was funny. Okay, so yeah, Blockbusters. Yeah, good. Okay. Next, we have Break the Bank, this is the 1970s version. It was, this show has had a few, some rerun live over on Game TV in Canada.
Okay.
It's almost like Hollywood Squares because they had a bunch of celebrities on it. And they would ask a question to them, and sometimes they would lie and whatnot. Yeah, another poor man's Hollywood Squares, I suppose. I've seen it a few times. I'd put it in average. Have either of you seen this show?
I've never seen that show at all.
I want to say Game Show Network showed it for a brief time in the late 90s. But I've seen it just a few times, and it's not too bad. Hosted by the great Tom Kennedy, whose nephew David Nars we interviewed. So, and this is not to be confused with the Break the Bank of 1985, which was hosted by Gene Rayburn and then Joe Farago. Totally different format. Okay. Next up, we have, I believe, Eric Lima's favorite game show, Bullseye.
That's right, his all-time favorite.
Now, David, what would you say about Bullseye?
It's a pretty good game show. I like, there's a classic, and then, Eric can speak more, from himself on how much he loves Bullseye.
Yeah. Brandon, what would you say?
I don't think I remember much of that one.
That's okay. It was hosted by Jim Lang. What's that?
I do like the theme song of it.
Yeah.
So, all right, what's next?
Yeah, we'll put it in great. Hosted by Jim Lang. Okay, next up we have Caesar's Challenge, which was hosted by Ahmad Rashad in the 90s. I haven't seen that much of it, so I'd put it on average. Have either of you seen Caesar's Challenge?
I think
Unfortunately,
I
not yet.
tried, but it got a little complicated for me.
Okay.
David?
So yeah, put it on average.
Put it on average. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a show that I found kind of a guilty pleasure recently. Camouflage. It was a show where
I've heard
you
of
would,
it.
it was a show that would have puzzles hidden inside it. And actually, I'll give an example right now. Just a moment. Now, this would be a fun game to play, although it would be tough to emulate because you'd have to get all of the letters missing.
Mhm.
But just a moment.
I have
Well,
heard
it's
of
gonna
this
be
game show
cool.
before, but no, not ready.
Yeah, it aired for a month in 2007 on Game Show Network. Lasted about 40 episodes, and
Oh,
That's not
very
too
small
bad.
prize. 5,000.
$5,000. Yeah. Hey, and people have said, I've heard people say that this show would fit right in with the current brand of GSN's originals these days, where it's just like word association games and stuff you can easily play along with, even if your TV is muted. So basically, here's an example of how a camouflage would work. Okay. The clue is beer business biggie. Let me take away a few letters.
Okay. Should David and I like buzz in the private chat?
No, just try to yell something out. Oh, wait a minute. We don't want that.
Okay, fine.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Okay, so then they would take away a lot of letters, so you would see some that look like this. Brandon, can you see if you can find a word hidden inside there?
Yeah, right.
Clue again?
Let me take away some. The clue was, wait a minute. Beer business biggie.
What?
I'll give you another hint. What's something you might, wait a minute.
I already know what it is. It's just that.
You know what do you think the word is? The
David,
word is
you
hidden
sound
in,
out then.
the word is hidden inside the letter. It's all, and it reads left, and it all goes left to right. Well, okay, what do you sometimes make toast with?
Butter.
No, David, the word is inside the letters. It's hidden.
Crust.
Camouflage.
No.
No, not your. Let me take away some more letters.
All right.
I don't get it. Like,
Oh my God.
You have to
God,
watch
I get it, but I just don't know what it is. I need
to
more
watch
letters taken away.
You have to watch an episode. Okay, here. Try this. What do you?
Okay, yeah.
What is it?
Yeast.
Yeast. Yes, there we go.
oh, okay.
I
When you
gotta show David and Evan. Let me just. You see, it's yeast because it was
Okay.
inside that. And most of the time, what the show would do is they would put already existing phrases like that Ryan Seacrest one, for example, to make people laugh. Like, oh yeah, person name. And then they would give some dumb clue like beer business biggie because yeast is in beer, and yeah. Okay. Good show.
Okay, maybe beer I can understand, but toast?
You put yeast on sometimes bread that has been made with yeast and then toasted. Doesn't always happen that often, but theoretically you could put yeast on toast.
All right, what's next?
Yeah, camouflage. I'd put it in. Should it be great or should it be just good? Because
I say great.
Great.
I liked it. I liked watching that show.
Yeah,
Okay.
I enjoy watching it too. David, we have to watch that together sometimes. So
Yeah.
You can get a better idea. Okay, next up. Oh, I think
Well,
everyone.
if you do,
It's a
I'll be
classic.
waiting.
Bingo.
Instant classic. Yeah. Not the 2001 version. The classic, Jim Perry, Bobby Banks, of course. Even Bill Rafferty. Bill Rafferty had a good time with it. Okay. No further discussion. Card Sharks.
It's a classic all the way. Everybody's not watched that.
Next up, we have, I believe this will be just the 2006
Great.
version of Chain Reaction. I think that's great. Yeah.
That's a
agree?
great game. So yeah,
Yep.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
And you can still watch that version at 7 in the morning Eastern time on GameShow Network, and then you can watch the 2021 version late in the afternoon.
7 in the morning, my a-hole.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, another one of my favorites, Friend or Foe.
Oh yes.
What would you say? Would you agree, Brandon? Okay. Yep. Friend or Foe, hosted by Kennedy. A show that would put 3 teams of 2 strangers together and try to work together to win money. And sometimes people would get greedy and go foe and not win anything. And then sometimes they would split it and be nice and all that stuff. My dad always hated that show. I remember when I was young, he would say, "Oh, I hate Friend or Foe. Why can't they just all be friends?" No.
That's what we all wish, but
Doesn't work that way.
Child's Play.
I find Friend or Foe better than Divided.
Yeah, I believe that. That's fair. Okay, next up is Child's Play, a show I've only seen maybe a few times. A show hosted by Bill Cullen.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a show where they would get kids on video and they would explain the definitions of stuff. It was cute at times, but...
And then the contestant, one of the two, they would have to guess what that stuff is.
Yes.
I do remember as a kid, I would watch a couple of these episodes in the morning on the weekends on GameShow Network.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So where would you want to put it?
I'll say good.
I can go with good.
Okay.
I remember a certain clip where they had one of the children on the show, and I think it ended with the kid saying, "Because he's been single for a long time."
Yeah. I remember that. Okay. Next up, Classic Concentration, the show.
It's a classic.
You put it an instant classic?
Yeah, Alex Trebek. No, he
True.
did a great job. Mm-hmm.
Brandon.
It's classic. The word is classic.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess I respect it. I'll put it in instant classic. I just never got into the show or the other one that we're about to get to next.
Yeah, classic concept. Yeah, I mean, I would prefer it over the other one, but hosted by Alex Trebek, and we're glad that Buzzer had the opportunity to start showing it on their schedule about 5-6 years ago, because that's another thing that Buzzer got that GSN never did. Maybe they were thinking about it in the late 90s, but it never materialized for whatever reason. Okay, but of course, Classic Concentration was a spin-off of Regular Concentration hosted by Jack Nars. I've seen a lot more of Classic Concentration than I have of the original the original Concentration. I would say it's good. What would you guys say?
Yeah, that's fine. That's good to hear, Mr.
Although Buzzer has shown a good amount of Regular Concentration too, but I think Classic Concentration is more fun. It had the 80s music and the vibe and everything, and you had Trebek. Yep. For at that time, Alex Trebek was doing 3 shows at once. He was doing Jeopardy, Classic Concentration, and then that brief time he was doing To Tell the Truth.
Oh, and I would say
what?
Oh yeah, I thought it was the Double Dare.
Double Dare. No, Double Dare was in the 70s. That was way before.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later in this list.
Trebek hosted To Tell the Truth 1990 for a few months, and then they had like 6 different hosts during that one season of that show. Okay. Next up is Debts, hosted by Martin Winkdale.
Very underrated.
And it was
no, I've never heard of that one.
It was a show that had college students on, and basically the winnings was supposed to get them out of student loan debt.
That's what make it Wink Martindale hosted.
Okay. Tell you.
It lasted for 2 years on the Lifetime network.
All right.
And it was about I'd put it as average.
Yeah. But very underrated as well.
Yeah. Admittedly, I haven't seen much of it.
Yes, it did deserve a not good run there, Mike. I agree. But
Wink Martindale. All right.
What's so funny?
I'm sorry, I'm looking on his Wikipedia page. His biography on says he also presented Wink's Vault on his YouTube channel from 2014 until his death in 2025. Well, that test came back. That was a lie. It was really John Ritchie. But
Yeah.
anyway, okay. Next up, we have Super Dave's favorite game show, Deal or No Deal. I think we'll put it an instant classic just for him.
Oh, okay. I think we say great, but yeah, you can do that.
I would myself. I'd probably put it as great, even if season 4 was just nothing but special episodes and
I know that was ridiculous.
Brandon, you
Hey,
look like
it got a $1 million winner out of it.
Oh, that's true. They did. Brandon, what would you say about Deal or No Deal?
Fun fact: I have 7 versions of Deal or No Deal.
Oh, on board game or
Any game, DS, DVD, handheld,
there you go.
game card, and
Handmade.
How about that?
custom made. Yes.
You should sell those on. Well, actually, I don't know if you can make copies of those cards.
Yeah, I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't. You're never gonna guess what the top amount is in like this deck.
I can't see.
Hold on, let's spotlight it. Oh, okay.
There's like over 100 cards.
My gosh.
Okay.
The top amount, you'll never guess it, is way over $1 million.
34 million.
Higher, David.
50 million.
Higher.
Oh my god.
100.
100. What?
100 million. He means
Lower. Whoa, wait a minute. I take it back. Higher. It is higher.
1 billion.
Higher.
What the hell? Infinity? You have an Infinity show?
1 trillion.
Okay, lower. Now lower.
5 billion.
Higher.
10 billion?
10 billion.
There it is. You got it.
I got it first before Danny had to serve that point.
Yeah, I think as a concept that. Oh, okay, very good. Yeah, I think as a concept itself, Deal or No Deal is an instant classic, even though some countries did it better than we did. And I still enjoy watching this the half-hour syndicated version. Way better than Deal or No Deal Island, but I don't think Deal or No Deal Island was Deal or No Deal Island wasn't even a thing at the time that Paige created this list. Okay, Let's go to the next show, Double Dare, not hosted by Mark Summers, hosted by Alex Trebek in 1978, 79.
Yeah.
No, wait, I'm sorry, I take that back. 76, because they used the same theme song that the Jim Perry version of Card Sharks used. That. And it was a fun show where they would put 2 people in a booth and ask them questions. And it had 70s Trebek with the afro and the mustache. I think it's good. Brandon, what would you say?
I rarely remember that. I think like at late in the night I would sort of see that, but I don't think I remember the full gameplay of it. So I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you're correct. They did show it at about 1:30 in the morning on weekends.
All right.
Back in 2007, 2008. We're still looking for those recordings if anyone wants to send them to me for the GSN broadcast archives. Okay. Now, this is the Double Dare that everyone knows, hosted by Mark Summers in the late 1980s, and then the reboot. Admittedly, I don't know much about it, but would you guys put it in great?
I would put in classic, but what do you say, David?
I would say classic, yeah, because Nick channel, and a lot of people remember that, and it's like seriously, the type of obstacle
seriously.
I like the slime and all that. Like all the parents remember that, so
yeah. And props to Mark Summers for hosting that despite his OCD.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Next
Rustin
up.
Willett. I met the host of this.
That's right. David did meet Mark L. Wahlberg and what was that? 2023.
Wheel of Fortune Live. Yep.
Yeah, was that in 2023?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, Russian Roulette, the show where if you get an answer wrong, you could fall through a hole, and we're still looking for some episodes of that. I think it's definitely one of the strongest originals GSN ever put out.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly a far cry from what they're up to nowadays, but it was a show where you could win up to $100,000, and so it's a great show. Brandon, what would you say?
First of all, how are you even allowed to meet Mark?
He was on the stage at the end of the or like in the, like, let's say he was in front of the seats at the end. I was close to the stage, so yeah.
It was easy to walk up to him.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I can't. Unfortunately, I couldn't say the same about Bob Goen at Wheel of Fortune Live. He just went backstage. He didn't stay out to talk to anybody. But maybe Mark will come to St. Louis this year. We'll never know.
Oh, maybe. As far as Russian Roulette is concerned, I know it's like one of two trapdoor game shows, unless you count a Game of Games from NBC.
No, you're thinking of Who's Still Standing?
Yeah.
Right. That was an interesting show. Everyone says that Who's Still Standing was a Russian Roulette ripoff. I mean, they took their fall through the hole gimmick, but it was kind of a different game. It was a show where you would constantly ping pong questions back and forth. It wasn't, and it was a lot more, fast paced than Russian Roulette was.
Okay.
I would bring Russian Roulette back if I had that kind of power.
Yeah, same. If I was president of the United States making game shows great again, I would.
You play Russian. Well, that's what they were playing back a few months ago when they had the president of Ukraine there, right? Okay.
Wow.
They might, if they did bring it back, they might have to change the title, because Russian Roulette they might have to change the title because Russian Roulette itself, it's really just about,
people falling.
No.
They
might have to change it. They might have to change it to something more user friendly, like Drop Zone or Don't Fall, something like that. I can see.
Maybe.
Russian Roulette really is about guns. That's what the title comes from. Okay. Russian Roulette is the classic. Next up, Family Feud. I think there's no discussion. Feud is an
no discussion. How often you watch the classic Feud thing?
I don't watch it that often, but Buzzer is going to show some Ray Combs episodes, which they haven't done for a while, so that's always nice.
Okay. All right.
And next year, Family Feud will turn 50.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Now that since they have a classic Family Feud channel with Ray Combs and Richard Dawson, lately this month and also last month I've been watching a little more of that for a different kind of reason. I won't say what.
Mm-hmm.
All right, classic.
Also, I'm creating a 3D model of my own Family Feud set.
Oh, what set is it modeled after?
I'm just trying to combine like every set they've had.
Okay.
Right,
you could combine like I saw somebody made a thing combining the Anderson and the Karn set. I forgot what it was. Well, anyway, Yep, Family Feud is a classic, and we hope Steve Harvey can do it for another 30 years. We'll do that. Okay,
even last that long though.
Greed, one of the more overrated shows, I would say. I would put it at good, but David, what would you say?
As for Greed,
yeah,
I would say good.
It's a good. It was hosted by the great Chuck Woolery, and this was.
I would say great.
You would say great. This was the show that Stu Showstack was on, and they asked the question to that guy: "What show has Chuck Woolery never hosted?" And then this contestant said, "Well, Chuck, I know for sure that you never ever hosted Wheel of Fortune."
Oh God!
And then they lost, and Chuck was like, "Okay." God, I can only imagine what he was thinking. And he's like, "No, this was my question. They lost it." Yep. Greed was basically Fox's answer to the $1 million game show craze that was happening in late 1999, because everyone wanted to profit off of the success of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which had, which had dominated everyone's lives at that time in late 1999. So what?
Take a look here. This was Chelsea's favorite Nickelodeon game show.
Those were good.
No, right here.
Nick Arcade and Guts, yeah.
Greed. Downright my number 3 favorite game show of all time.
We'll put it at Greed.
Yeah. Where's the next one? I can't really see.
Greed would be another fun game to emulate. Okay, next up is High Rollers. It was hosted by Alex Trebek and then Wink Martindale, I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd put it at good. What would you guys say?
Yeah, we'll put that good.
I will go with yeah.
Okay. Yeah, one of the shows that Trebek did in the 70s, I believe. Okay, next up we have Hitman, which was a show that Peter Tamarkin hosted right before Press Your Luck. I've heard mostly good. I actually haven't seen an episode, but I've heard mostly good things about it.
Yeah.
And this was another show that had both Peter Tamarkin, Rod Roddy as announcer, and to have Randy West as a contestant.
Yeah.
And as we might know, on the very last episode of Hitman, every episode they would have contestant plugs back then. And the announcer Rod Roddy famously said, "If you want to be a contestant on Hitman, forget it," because there were no more episodes happening.
Yeah.
They got rid of it. Okay. What's that? Hitman. Yeah, probably a good show. Good show. Okay. Next up, Hollywood Squares with Tom Bergeron. I'd put it at great. I'd put it great.
Yeah. Great game show host on his prime.
Yeah. Whoopi Goldberg for me is probably instant classic, but when you mix it in with H2, I'd put it at great. Brandon, where would you say? Where do you stand on the Whoopi Goldberg versus H2 debate?
I do like both versions. Yeah, I liked the key part in H2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't even tell which one is even my favorite of those versions.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg one changed its bonus round.
They did a few times. I'm not a fan of the trivia bonus round, but I'm a fan of the pick a star, answer a question, win a prize if you get it right.
That's right. Yeah, I like that.
And yeah, the Whoopi Goldberg era had more star power, and then towards the end of H2, it got stale, and they were using too many gimmick weeks. Like, oh, this week is I think a supermodels week, or no, they had a blondes have more fun week. No, whatever that means. And then they had game show host week, which brought back Peter Marshall, which was good. That probably wouldn't have happened under Whoopi Goldberg, because I remember Peter Marshall saying he didn't like it when it first came back.
Oh, God.
And then H2 also brought us the great April Fool's prank, where they had those two contestants who were yelling at each other, and the ladies started crying, and then Tom was like, "What the hell's happening here?"
Well, even the other version of Hollywood Squares before that also had an April Fool's prank similar to that.
Oh, John Davidson version?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. That prank was the Bergeron prank lasted almost the entire show, like 3/4 of the show, but the Davidson prank only lasted for the first question. John Davidson comes on and says, "Okay, well, our champion is sick, so we have 2 new players here." And then, so during the first question, the guy answers, gets it right, and then the woman contestant says to John, "He cheated. He was looking at your card. He was looking at your card." And then John is like, "This has never happened." And then they start arguing, and then the woman pushes him off the set, off of that little platform that they were sitting on. And then John is like, "What the hell just happened?" And then everyone yells, "April Fools, John!" Yeah, if you go check that out, that was funny. But the Bergeron prank, was a lot more convoluted and put together than that.
And during that game show week when Marshall returned, they actually allowed him to do a hosting gig for H2 one last time.
Yes, yeah, him and Tom did a switch, and that was cute.
I love how it was during his explanation of the game. The Marshall was like, each game is worth $1,000.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
Yeah. Well, it's still $1,000 on the current version 23 years later, but oh well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I do enjoy the new version of Hollywood Squares also. It's not quite. I would put it below H2, but it understood the assignment, unlike Nashville Squares and some of these other crappy reboots that we had since then. Okay.
I liked Nashville Squares better than Hip Hop Squares.
Probably.
Hey, they at least had a more appropriate name, Hidden Square.
Hidden Square. Next up is Hot
The
Potato.
original MTV Hip Hop Square had a more inappropriate name for the secret square.
Oh, G-Spot, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And that version was hosted by D. Ray Davis from.
Excuse
me. D. Ray hosted the second version, I think. Yeah. D. Ray Davis. We love D. Ray Davis. He hosted Mind of a Man, another great show. Well, it's not great, but it's watchable. Okay.
Finally, a reminder for those who haven't watched this as of late. Tune next week where we'll be interviewing Randy West for episode 180. So just a friendly reminder.
Yeah.
So,
I would put Hot Potato in average.
Yeah, Mike's right. It did have a more competent host. It had Bob Saget host Nashville Square.
Yes,
Bob Saget.
I wonder how he got that gig, because it's not like he was involved in country music or anything. They should have had maybe someone like Garth Brooks. Could you imagine him hosting it?
What are you talking about?
I'm surprised, like, as a show about Nashville Squares, it was obviously country oriented. Why did they get Bob Saget of all people to host it? It just seemed like an odd choice. Bob was good, but it seemed like him of all. It just seemed odd. Okay. But next up is Hot Potato, a show hosted by Bill Cullen for about 5 months in 1984 on NBC.
And
I'd put it as average.
What?
What'd you say?
Imagine the Waco's hosted this show.
Mm-hmm. That's where they got their
an episode of that show, so I don't know.
That's where the Wiggles got their idea from, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Next up is Bruce Forsyth's Hot Streak. Nice to see you. To see you, nice. I'd put it as good, because Bruce Forsyth was a pretty popular entertainer in the UK.
Never heard of that one.
I've heard of it, never seen it. Heard good things about it, though.
No.
Anybody else in the chat have something to say about Bruce Forsyth's Hot Streak?
Oh, sure. Alright, what's next?
Yeah, time slot. Yeah, Michael said the time slot's good. We'll do it. Okay. Identity. This was a short-lived show hosted by Penn from Penn and Teller. I believe it only lasted for a couple of months. Let me just look it up real quick. I want to be clear.
Months, huh?
Okay, yeah, it lasted 12 episodes from December 06 to April 07.
I'll be back, guys. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would put it as I'd put it as meh. From what I've heard of it.
Okay. Never heard of it, so
Okay.
we move along.
Okay.
Hey, Trip.
Next one, It's Worth What? It's just another show only lasted for a few months. It lasted on NBC, hosted by Cedric the Entertainer. I'd probably put it as horrible.
Never heard of that one at all.
No. My sources tell me it was from July to September of 2011, and it was hosted by Cedric the Entertainer. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably put it as horrible. Not because of Cedric, but it just seemed like a dumb show. Okay, next up we have I don't know if I've ever heard of this one, called Jeopardy, one of those.
Who are you to fool? Oh, we all know.
Obviously, Jeopardy is an instant classic.
Yes.
Yeah. What is FedEx? What's a hoe? And Mike Richards and Aaron Rodgers.
Who are two people that never been in my kitchen?
Yes, that's right. Yep, Jeopardy is Americana. I mean, it's been with us for the last, been with us for the last 60 years, but the last 40 years been with Alex.
And it has one of the most memorable game show themes of all time.
Absolutely. You'd have to be living under a rock to at least not know about do. That's Jeopardy for you. Okay. Next up, the kids version, I believe it was called Jep.
When I saw a review from the game show reviewer about all types of Jeopardy, he explained the differences between this and regular Jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, those red lights that you would see on regular Jeopardy that represent how much time the contestant has,
right?
Those are not the typical timer lights on Jep. Instead, they represented strike. The first red light is a warning light. The second red light, you get like stuff dumped on you, like a double whammy.
Oh, like on Double Dare and shit. Okay.
And then the third strike, they put you behind the wall for God knows how long.
Gee.
And then on top of that you even have a sound effect when a contestant rings in. And it's like,
yeah.
Oh, and not only that, they don't get to choose their amount. They have like a little spinner thing that they land on to get the amount. Now then they get to pick the category.
Chad, what do we think? Should we put it in average, good, or meh? It sounds pretty meh to me. I like the think version for that show.
I mean, there was a Jep round, hyper Jep round, and a super Jep round, as they called it.
And it was hosted by Mr. Bob Bergen.
Yeah,
from St. Louis.
Of course, from St.
And the questions on Jep, they were not as hard as the ones in the Jeopardy tournament theme.
David, would you agree that not Jep, but Jeopardy is an instant classic?
Oh, regular Jeopardy, yes, instant classic.
Okay, I think we'll put Jep at meh. Anyway. Next up, we have Let's Ask America. Now, I remember this show from about 11 years ago when James Network would show it. It was another show where people would Skype in and try to figure out answers to, and put it in a show where people would answer questions based on what America thought. I'm not sure if it was, I don't remember if it was quite America Says. I think it was trying to figure out percentages of what people said. I haven't seen the show in like 10 years, but I liked what I saw. Let's Ask America. Now we have America Says.
I don't think I've heard of it, but I don't think I've seen Let's Ask America.
I liked what I saw, so we'll put it there. Okay, next up we have one of my favorites and one of Brandon's favorites as well, Lingo.
Now,
it's a classic.
Even though it's not in my top 10 favorite game shows, as far as Game Show Network shows, it is at the very top. It is the very first game show I ever saw. The very first that I ever saw when I was 5 years old. And then after that, Russian Roulette, and then Wink a Slink.
All right.
Yeah,
so
basically
on the same day altogether.
Yeah, it all basically happened when I was 5 years old. My grandparents put that on by accident, and thanks to them, look where I am now.
Very good.
Thank you, Grandma, Grandpa.
That must have been, 2004?
98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002.
2002. Okay. That sounds about right. Okay.
That's right, Mike. Not just letters, it's lingo.
That's right.
Oh.
That's what I say all the time. Okay. Yep. Lingo, hosted by Chuck Woolery
In fact, I heard this version of Lingo is actually based on another version from another country.
Kind of. Yeah, Lingo actually started in the States in the 80s under a slightly different format, and then in Holland it was very popular. That's what kind of caused Game Show Network to want to bring it back in 2002.
And the Holland version had a little special feature. You collect 3 green balls, you earn bonus money.
Right. Yeah, Holland loves Lingo, kind of like how we love Jeopardy. They watched it every day, and it was on for about 20 years. It might still be going on over there. I don't know. But it doesn't look like the RuPaul version is coming back next season. But I enjoyed RuPaul Lingo for what it was. Same with Bill Engvall Lingo, even if it was dirtier. But obviously the Chuck Lee version, outranks all of them.
I mean, I liked Bill Ing. I can't spell his last name. Dang it!
I don't know. Engvall.
But RuPaul, as fine as that was, without the balls.
Well, you had RuPaul's Lucky Balls at least.
Yeah, but what good did that do?
Yeah. Oh well. My friend Joshua McLeod, who both he always says, if there's no bingo, then it's not lingo. Yeah. Oh well. Okay,
And
next
he's right.
We have Let's Make a Deal.
My number 10 favorite game show.
Oh, really? So should we put it as instant classic?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hosted by Monty Hall for many, many years.
Yeah,
and then,
especially his version.
And then it was hosted by Billy Bush.
Never heard of Billy Bush.
Now Wayne Brady.
Well, yeah, Wayne Brady, obviously. And someone said that if it wasn't for Wayne on Who's Line, we wouldn't have had him on Let's Make a Deal. So I never thought about that.
I forgot to.
Yeah, Let's Make a Deal, a show where you can show up wearing a funny costume, and you might get called down to see what's behind door number 3. And yeah, good. Okay, next up, one of obviously this should be an instant classic, Match Game.
Oh, man. Everybody watched this sometime ago.
Right.
Well, it's the version from the 70s that we know, not the original 60s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Match Game 60s was boring, but at least it got started.
Well, I wouldn't say boring. It was just like an early test too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, boring compared to what we're used to.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Dumb Donald is really dumb. How dumb is he, Mike? Yep, and we enjoyed playing Match Game. We're gonna have a Match Game.
Dora sitting in a tree. Sorry.
We do have a Match Game series coming to my channel in July. Hopefully, we'll get all the episodes done before the current version, but before this version on ABC comes back, so none of the jokes are overlapped. But yeah, Match Game and always so many blanks. And yeah, okay. Next up is Merv Griffin's Crosswords. I'd put it at honestly.
Oh, they're gonna just put it average. But
No. It was
Never heard of that one.
It lasted for okay, wait a minute. Okay, it lasted for 1 year in syndication, and it was hosted by Ty Treadway. Yeah, I wouldn't call it horrible, but it was meh. And I mean, people didn't. I know the game show fandom didn't really like it. So okay. Okay, next up we have the Match Game, Hollywood Squares, Hour with Gene Rayburn and John Bauman. Now, this one is tough because the Match Game part is the same as it always was.
Yeah.
But the Hollywood Squares part, they fucked up.
So you want to put that good then?
Well, I don't know. Brandon, what would you want to say?
I would. I put it at good.
You put it at good? Okay.
It's a good
At least,
prime
yeah,
time
because they
show
did
for-
let them win $30,000 in the super match.
That's
yeah.
correct.
It was good for a prime time game, so
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Yeah, Match Game, Hollywood Squares Hour. Match game good, but if you ever wanted to know how Hollywood Squares could be ruined, there's your chance. Watch that show. Okay, next up we have Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I would probably instant classic.
Instant classic. Gareth Regis Philbin. So.
The Regis years, anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. True. Yeah, the Regis years are an instant classic, and some of the Meredith ones are good, but then once you get into the clock format, things start going downhill. And then I think nowadays it's okay, but I'm not a fan of the over relying on celebrities.
No.
And I've joked that in 2029, Millionaire turns 30, so ABC will have a Regis Philbin AI robot host the show for the 30th anniversary special.
Now, I liked the Jimmy Kimmel version.
Yeah. Jimmy does a good job.
Oh, yes. Back in 2021.
Is Jimmy Kimmel watching this?
I don't know.
You would know. Yeah, Jimmy does a good job on that show. I'm just not a fan of how they're over relying on celebrities to do it.
Yeah,
and the parents of celebrities. Okay, yeah, Millionaire instant classic. Just don't over rely on celebrities. Okay.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Definitely my number 5 favorite. Match Game, my number 6.
Yep.
Mm.
All right.
Red Hollywood Square is number 9.
All right. Next up, 1,000,000-second quiz. I remember hearing about this back when I was in grade school. I've only seen it maybe once. I'd put it as average.
Okay.
I think I heard of that. They tried with this one to break the game show record.
Oh, really?
But I don't think it was ever acknowledged. I remember that one was hosted by Ryan Seacrest.
Yes, sir. We love Ryan Seacrest, who's hosting the Wheel of Fortune nowadays. All right, next up, $1 million money drop.
A show that had a good concept but was executed poorly by Fox.
Where would you want to put it?
I would put it on average.
Okay.
Just because it had a good concept. Fox executed it badly, so they missed the mark.
As they have with a lot of things. Yeah, what's he doing nowadays?
Oh yes, Mike's right. Mike is right.
Bad research. Yeah. Okay, next up we have Monopoly Millionaires Club. I'd put it as mess. Either of you have seen this show?
I've seen one episode of it.
No, not me.
All right. We'll put it at mess. Okay. Next is the original Monopoly from 1990, hosted by Mike Riley.
Never heard that either.
It lasted for about 5 minutes in 1990.
Betty Martin.
Is that Brandon Martin's sister?
I'm not
Let's take a
sure,
look.
but
Who the hell is this? Bailey Martin. Ooh, hello. You were going to work at W Gal TV.
this Monday. Is
Good
that
luck
your
with
first
that.
day of the job?
Good luck with that. Well, make sure you tell everyone to watch Network 3000 and to buy my.
Whoa.
Okay. Monopoly 1990. Yeah, probably meh. It wasn't that good. It only lasted for a few minutes in the year 1990. Okay. Next up, we have one of my favorites, Newlywed Game. Yeah, it's hard for me to say because Newlywed Game is such a simple format, and it's easy for it to get repetitive. But it is one of the first game shows I remember watching as a young kid on GSN.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And my favorite version is probably the 1977 to 80 syndicated version. And that gave us the classic blooper where Bob asked this woman, what's the strangest place you ever had the urge to make whoopee? And this woman goes, in the ass. So.
And you know what? He gave several times more information what happened after that.
Like what?
Like that one movie that they were going to do. I don't remember the name of the movie.
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Yeah.
fine. They went to Olga and they said they had the clip. They were going to put it in the movie. Olga tried to argue, please, no, I'm a grandma.
That's right.
And they're like, well, it's actually, well, are you sure? It's worth $5,000. And she changed her mind, like, okay, you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey guys, we're gonna have a commercial break right here, so
Okay.
we'll be right back after these words.
Yeah. Oh.
Danny's got a secret tucked away so tight. He pokers through the day.
No, we're not doing that.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
I would like to watch that Confessions of a Dangerous Mind movie.
Where did you even?
That's this AI song that Jesse Ortiz made last night.
Holy.
It's
Thank you, Jester. Okay.
good.
Okay.
Beautiful. Danny's dance. Yeah.
But
Right.
the other thing, I've seen, I got to meet Bob Eubanks a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's right. Tell us
2
what was
years
that
ago, and he did a panel called the Not So Newlywed Game, and it was basically the same thing.
Yeah. We love Bob.
I even got an autograph for him. I'll get that autograph.
Oh, yes.
I wonder how much that costs. Probably $50.
What a guy. Hey, that's wonderful. Let me solo that
Awesome.
real quick. To my friend Brandon, Bob Eubanks. How about that? That's wonderful.
Awesome.
Oh, and on the back of that,
Hey, that's good too. Great.
Nice.
Did you tell him you were going to double the points?
ha!
Mm.
Oh, Lord of mercy. I think I brought up Family Feud once, and I don't remember exactly what Richard Karn said, but
Richard Karn reacted to one of my Facebook comments one time. I think it was like his birthday, and I commented, "Happy birthday, Richard! I'm going to double the points," and he gave it a laughing reaction. Okay. Yeah, Bob Eubanks. I'd love to meet him one day. We'll see what happens. Okay, yeah, Newlywed Game, instant classic. Just as long as the host is Bob Eubanks and not Carney Wilson. Okay. We'll ask Randy about that too. Okay, next up is a show hosted
Make
by...
sure you
Sherry
write
Shepherd.
all those down.
What'd you say, Brandon?
and Sherry Shepherd.
Oh, Sherry Shepherd. Well, Sherry was good. Sherry was good. A lot better than Carney, but yeah,
And make
Eubanks.
sure you
obviously
write.
for that
Make
show.
sure you write all of those notes for writing down. By the way.
Yeah.
What the ideas from this episode.
Of course. Okay, next up was a show entitled "Now You See It." It was hosted by Michael Bombardier or somebody like that. No, hosted by Jack Norris. I think Michael hosted it for the Network 3000. But now you see it. I haven't seen much of it, to be honest, but I say it was good. I'd put it as good. What would you guys say?
Yeah, put that good.
From my experience in playing the game, I would go average.
Average. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good enough for me.
Play was like WTF.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Well, we got to meet Jack Norris' son, David Norris. So.
All right. Next up, it's not just password; it's password plus. I think it's great.
Okay.
Or should we put it as instant classic?
That I'll put it there. Yeah.
Instant classic.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it did have Alan Ludden, who was the master of password, obviously, and then followed by Tom Kennedy. I do think that Super Password was slightly more fun than Password Plus, but yeah, Password Plus, of course, still a great show. Okay, next up we have Pitfall. Let's see. I put it as average. What would you guys say?
Well, I guess I
I don't know. I've never really heard. I've never heard of that.
Oh, let me check the internet to see what it was about. Okay, it was hosted. Of course, it was hosted. Okay. Oh, it was hosted by Alex Trebek, and it lasted for 1 year in Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, I'll put it as average. Due to the production company going bankrupt in 1981, production of the show ended, and as a result, many contestants and staff were never paid.
Oh my.
I don't know if I remember that. I don't know if I read that in Alex's biography. Okay. Next up, a show that we all enjoy. Press Your
It's
Luck.
the classic.
You-
It's the
Well,
classic.
what would- okay,
It's the
Brandon,
classic.
what would you say?
It will remain my number one favorite instant classic.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm outnumbered 2-1, or 3-1 if you count Michael Nebula. Okay, remote control. I think well, I'll put it as average just because I haven't seen that much of it, but I've heard it. It had an important part in MTV's history back then because it was a game show about music, I think.
How much more we have left? Dang.
There's a total of 100
Yeah.
in this list, and if we can like count how many we've done, that's not like that. Holy crap!
Yeah, we can make it work.
Okay.
Remote Control was a good show. I know it was a good show. I just haven't seen that much of it to really sell it great or good or anything.
You call it good. I call it horrible.
We'll put it as good. You would call it horrible?
Whoa.
Yeah, I said I was just like one viewing. I'm like, no, I don't like this.
Personally, for me, I'd put Press Your Luck in either great or maybe good, just because I think it's so overrated. But I understand why a lot of people love it so much. I don't know. Okay. Next up, Sale of the Century, another good show hosted by Mr. Jim Perry. I think it's great.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It lasted all those years in the 80s, and Jim Perry did a good job. And it also had Curtis Warren, who later would kick butt on Greed some years later.
Mm.
Sale of the Century. Yep. Okay.
I put it meh.
Really?
I
Keep it.
once
keep
I
it
saw a
great.
couple episodes, and I saw part of it. Just the part of like using that money to buy something.
That's true.
That was a really good part. But when you do the regular questions, like that's what just lost it for me. It was like, really? I've seen this in so many other game shows. Can we have something more original than that?
Well, it's certainly better than the 2007 version, Temptation.
Huh.
But no, anyway. Okay, Scrabble, hosted by a good friend Chuck Woolery. I think that's either great or good. What would you guys say?
I
say
don't
good.
quite know.
I'll
I
be
never
right
fully
back.
seen an episode. I've heard of it, but I haven't fully seen an episode.
I've seen a few of them. Yeah, I think it belongs in great. Yeah, I mean, that's where Chuck started. Well, Chuck did say 2-2 on that show, but that's why they wanted. That might be why they wanted Chuck for Lingo, because Scrabble was a word association game, and then Scrabble also had stoppers like Lingo did. So, Yep, Scrabble, probably a great show. Okay, no problem with that. Shop Till You Drop. I'll go with the Pat Finn version. I think good.
I thought it was great.
You thought it was great? Let's see. Yeah, I haven't seen that. That's another show I haven't seen in about a good amount of viewers.
I remember watching that. I think maybe every now and then I would kind of tune into that just to kind of like refresh my mind.
Yeah, GSN they showed it about 10 years ago.
Do I think they should revive it? I would like if they do, but I don't think it's going to, due to the fact that shopping malls are.
Why don't they do one in an abandoned shopping mall, or like do one in a shopping mall that's about to close down, and then just do everything? In fact, GSN did something similar to that. They did a show called Kmart's Ridiculous Cash Bash, and during the time there were only like 6 Kmart's left in the United States.
What?
Yeah, Ridiculous Cash Bash. I never saw it, but I've heard stories about it. That's what my friend Jordan Haas said on his one of his podcasts. Okay, yeah, Shop Teardrop. Yeah, that's good enough if it's great. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Next up, Show Me the Money, a show hosted by William Shatner for about 2 minutes in 2007. I would I'd put it in horrible.
Well, at least William Shatner got to do a game show.
Yes.
Because he originally was supposed to do the original Family Feud.
Oh, really?
That-
In the 70s or
Yes,
Okay.
yes. From what one of the guys during a game show documentary said that, Goodson tapped William Shatner to host, and the network king, and Richard Dawson's manager came and said, if you don't give my client a shot at this show, I will instruct him to not be funny on Match Game and just post his answer. That's it. Goodson said, you wouldn't do that. And his manager's like, watch me.
Watch me. That's pretty much what Dawson did at the end of his run on Match Game. He was just like, leave me the hell alone. I don't want to be here. And I do. That's why I appreciate the syndicated 79 and 82 years of Match Game more than the original, than like the 75, 76 period. Well, anyway. Yes, David, Show Me the Money, horrible. Shop Till You Drop, great. Okay. Then we have a Split Second. Hosted. I think it's good if you count all together, the Monty Hall versions as well as even we can throw in the GSN version for good measure.
Okay.
What would you guys say?
Yeah.
When I heard that this was actually just a reboot and not a GSN original, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
but they did this before?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that just blew my mind.
Mm.
Yes. Hi, I'm John Michael Higgins, and look at my massive tablet. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes, the Tom Kennedy version as well. My dad talks about that version, even though he remembers watching that in the 70s. Yeah. Split Second. Yeah, good show. Okay. Next, yes, my personal favorite incarnation of Password, Super Password, hosted by Bert Gunby. I think no other comments.
It's an instant classic, regardless,
Instant
and it's the
classic.
same show.
Of course.
Yeah. 100%.
And you'd have Bert Convy giving away the puzzles at times, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only changes is they don't. Super Password doesn't have the option of passing or playing, and Password Plus
true.
does not have the cash word.
Yeah. The infamous catch word.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next we have, yes, Howie Mandel hosts Take It All.
I remember.
I've heard a lot of people criticize it. I would put it in average, although it is a guilty pleasure because I like watching people get mad at each other, like Jerry Springer type shows or baggage type of shows or whatever. But
I remember.
Plus, it only lasted 6 episodes.
yeah, it lasted only 6 episodes. Yeah. It's like Friend or Foe meets Rob Your Neighbor. Like you would have all these strangers and they would tell their sob stories about how much good they've done. And then they would put up a bunch of prizes and would say like, okay, I want the computer. And then they would say, okay, Mark, which product do you want? And then he would say, I want the computer. And then the two of them would face off in some kind of competition. I watched a few of it last year. It's a fun show if you want to watch it to pick it apart. But the game itself, it's a sad show. It's a sad show. I'd put it in average.
I agree.
Well, anyway. All right. Next up, we have Tattletales, which is basically your typical couples get to know each other game, but with celebrities. It's hosted by Bert Convy. And they had a few episodes where Bert Convy would switch with other guys. So Gene Rayburn hosted an episode. I think even Richard Dawson hosted one for fun.
Bob Barker.
Bob Barker too, probably.
I don't remember Richard Dawson and Bob Barker doing that one.
Yeah. Where would you want to put it? Average or good?
I would say good.
Good. Yeah.
I would say this is basically almost close to a celebrity newlywed game.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, and even sometimes they weren't always married. Sometimes it was just couples who were in a committed relationship, not even married.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tattletale. It was a fun show. Okay. Well, Brandon, you were dumping on Sale of the Century earlier. Now here's the actual Temptation, the all-new Sale of the Century. I think. Well, the reason why people hated it so much is because they called it Temptation, the new Sale of the Century, when it really didn't do that much like the old Sale of the Century. And I've theorized that the people might like it better if it was just called Temptation. But at face value, I'd put it as average. Nothing to write home about. What would you say?
I don't think I
agree.
know. I'll be right back. Gotta fill this up.
Okay. Well, it's been on Buzzer on and off for the last 5 or so years, maybe more than that. Rossi Morales did a good job as host, though, I have to say. Yeah, Temptation average, but probably it's better than Take It All. I'll give it that. Anyway, the Big Showdown. I'm putting that in horrible.
No wonder why Take It All is just so short.
It's fun to watch, but it's a sad show. Next up, a show I've seen exactly once. The Chair, hosted by football great John McEnroe. It was basically, what was it? I think NBC's reaction to a show called The Chamber. And it was just a show where they would torture people and
people.
Yeah, The Chair. I'd put it as meh. Yeah. I do have an episode of it on one of these tapes over here. The Chair. Oh, thank you. Yes, The Chair was ABC. That's right. It was The Chamber that was Fox, but they both came out around the same time, and they both, people were accusing him of ripping each other off. Okay. Next up, a show called The Challengers, hosted by Mr. Dick Clark in 1990, another quizzer. And because of this show, Dick Clark was John McEnroe was in tennis. That's right, not football. Ugh. And The Challengers was the show that prevented Dick Clark from hosting the 1991 revival of the $100,000 Pyramid. But I like what I've seen of The Challengers, but I wouldn't call it anything to exactly write home about, so I'll put it in average.
Okay, that's fair.
Here we go. Speaking of which, The Chamber, yeah, horrible.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
This show is as follows. The contestant has to answer questions while being tortured in a torture chamber. Throwing ice at them in a pit of fire.
My goodness.
If you can answer all the questions correctly, you could win $100,000.
Right.
And I think even though one contestant made it at the very end, not perfect, they sued the people that made the game show for $100,000.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Same with another show I don't know if it's on this list, but I'll mention it if it's not there. Yeah. Brandon, do you have anything to say about the similar show, The Chair?
I don't think I've seen an episode of that.
I've seen it once. It's not as torturous as The Chamber, but basically they strap them up in a chair and measure their heart rate and how nervous they get, and you have to keep your heart rate below a certain rate if you want to keep going and answer trivia questions.
I don't quite understand how heart rates work, so I wouldn't know.
No. That's a few episodes of it on YouTube and such. Okay, The Magnificent Marble Machine, I'll put it as horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think it's worth any more discussion. Next we have Welcome to Tic Tac Toe, y'all.
Yes.
Instant Classic. Well,
yep.
Not the 2025 version or the 1990 version, but the classic version with Rick Martin. Come on, it's got to be Instant Classic.
Yes.
And it's been rebooted.
Yes.
I saw an episode of that reboot.
Yeah. What did you think?
I kept wondering how exactly more different is this from the original? And then they got to the main game, and it's like, wait, so the dragon is part of the main game now?
Mm-hmm.
And they
So it's
also
not just the bonus round anymore. He's part of the main game now. They moved him to the main game. What the holy crap?
they did this bad timing.
Yeah, right. Because like the day that Tic Tac Toe got revived, excuse me, the day that it premiered on GameShow Network, the next day Wink Martindale died. So everyone was saying, "Wow, I guess the new Tic Tac Toe was that bad." Well,
Yeah.
anyway.
Here's what I was a little confused by with the new Tic Tac Toe. I could not tell if this was actually 3D or if this was actually a screen that made to look like 3D, because it was like, is there a screen going on? If you watch an episode of the new one, we probably wouldn't be able to tell if they're looking at a screen, or it seems more complicated.
We'll see.
And then Tic Tac Toe 25. I love Brooke Burns, but I'm not really a fan of the current Tic Tac Toe reboot. But it's good waiting room material, I suppose. Okay. Next up we have The Joker's Wild, hosted by Mr.
Instant
Jack
Classic.
Perry. Instant Classic. Yeah, let me move it up.
I guess you can put it there, even though I have never seen an episode of that show.
Wow. I've seen it a handful of times, but it's good. We're not talking about the 1990 version or the 2017 version hosted by Snoop Dogg.
Is this on here?
Yeah, that's true. By the way, yeah, Snoop Dogg hosted The Joker's Wild on TBS in 2017-18. It was
Is
okay.
this on,
Really?
is this on here?
No, Double Dare is the only Nick show. Yeah, there might be more. I don't know. I'm very uncultured when it comes.
We better just go down the list and see if there's any more.
Okay, next up.
Well, I see one other Nickelodeon game show, but
Let's see. Now we have The Price is Wrong. I think that's an instant.
my number 8 favorite game show.
Yep.
My other favorite game show as well, and I met the cast, so.
Yes, you did.
That's right. Lucky
Back in
dog.
December. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Joker's Wild. Or
Do I still have the picture of the
Price is Right? Excuse me.
If
it wasn't for Price is Right, we wouldn't.
What the heck?
If it wasn't for Price is Right, we wouldn't have had 420 Bob and 69 Drew and all that good stuff.
69 Drew. What the?
Well, yeah, like one time a guy. This is funny. Well, show your picture first, then I'll tell the story.
Yeah. Go on.
One time.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. The picture. Yes, George Gray, Drew Carey, and David St. Dennis. A combination guaranteed to make you say. Okay, but the thing about 69 on The Price is Right was one time a contestant whose name was Michael Bummer, and his occupation was a gynecologist, and he was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He bid 69, and Drew just started laughing. He had a laughing fit, and then he won. He came up on stage, and then Drew says, "I'm Michael Bummer. What do you do for a living?" "I'm a gynecologist from Pittsburgh." And then Drew says, "Yep. And if you're at home and you're not laughing, something's wrong with you." One of my favorite quotes. Yep, Price is Right, of course. That's a classic. And
everybody's
Bob
favorite game show.
Yeah, Bob Barker's favorite show.
My number 8 favorite.
Next up, Trivia Trap.
Press Your Luck is still my number 1 favorite.
Yeah, Trivia Trap show
5.
hosted by Bob Eubanks. And
I call it a great. It's my number 2 favorite.
Trivia Trap is number 2
in my book. Yep.
Oh my goodness. David, have you seen Trivia Trap?
No, not yet.
I saw it a few years ago. I'll put it in good.
Okay.
Nice game of whatever. Okay, next one we have Trivial Pursuit with Wink Martindale. Yeah, another one of Hasbro's attempt to make a game show channel and make Wink host everything. I'll put it as good.
Wow.
Brandon, do you have anything to say about that?
I don't think I remember a Trivial Pursuit.
Well, it's back on the CW now with LeVar Burton, but I believe this tier list was made before that version started. But yeah, it was hosted by Wink in 1993-94, and it was okay. It was okay. Certainly better than most of these. Better than Take It All or Temptation or Debt. Okay, next one we have Trump Card, a show I've only seen the first episode, and yes, the president was on the first episode. This was 1990. It was a different time, and I'll put it as math. Not horrible, but nothing to write home about. And like most things Trump touched, it turned to dust after about a year. But it was hosted by Jimmy Cephalo and.
But Danny, The Apprentice lasted.
Except The Apprentice, yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trump Card. Yeah, go watch it. They should bring back. What if they brought that back? It was a scam. Okay, that makes sense. Kind of like the Trump stakes and the Trump universities and all that shit. Okay, next up we have 21. What's 9 plus 10? A show hosted by Maury Povich, of all people, reviving the shows from the show 21 from the 50s, which had all the scandals written about it because back then they actually rigged the shows. But this one wasn't rigged. It lasted about 10 minutes on Fox, wasn't it? Fox or NBC?
Maybe.
Michael, help me out here. I would put it as. I'll put it as I'd put it as average.
Yeah. So,
where did I? 21. No, I put it
anyway,
as
mix.
Yeah. January, November 2000. I know there wasn't that many episodes on it, but it was yeah. Thank you. Yep, NBC, Maury Povich, 21. We'll put it as average. It's fun.
Yeah.
Certainly better than the chair or the chamber. Okay. And funny enough, yeah, Maury hosted 21, but Jerry Springer hosted a version of Greed in the UK. Although I have no idea what. Okay, next up, another one of our favorites, Weakest Link. Weakest Link is a fun game to play just as long as everyone has a stable internet connection.
I have the board game version.
Oh, the one with Anne on the cover?
Yes.
Yeah, I have that one too. Yeah, Weakest Link, I think it's an instant classic. Of course, it was in the UK. Lasted 20 years over there. But here it only lasted 1 year with Hannah Robinson and then another year with George Gray. The Jane Lynch version seems to be doing good because that's been on since late 2020. And it's coming back to Fox instead of NBC. And they're doing it with celebrities. Yay.
Okay. They said, what's it called? Oh, what?
I believe that. Yep. You are the weakest. Brandon, who do you think was the best Weakest Link host?
Of the three?
In the United States, yeah.
You know what? Classic, both UK and US, and Robinson. Hands down.
I agree.
I do give George Gray props that he tried.
Yes, he did.
I met him.
Yes. Yeah, and all the episodes of George Gray Weakest Link are now on Peacock if you get a chance to watch. And it's fun to note that back when the pandemic started, George Gray was doing come on down shout outs for free if you just slide into his DMs and asked him. Back when he did it for me, he said, Danny Lewis, you are the weakest link. And then he said, another one of our friends, and Pat Murphy, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. So thank you, George, for doing that.
I don't know if I'll be allowed to say that on the microphone. When I was at the Price is Right, last episode. I don't know if I would have said, we gotta move on.
You didn't, I believe.
No, I did not say that because.
Good. Probably a good idea not to mention it.
Yeah, I don't know how George feels about what you say anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, watch it sometime. And GSN hasn't shown any Weakest Link since 2009, I want to say. Wow. Crazy. And usually these celebrity versions with Anne Robinson, those would be fucking hilarious because those celebrities would talk to Anne and she would mix it up with them and be mean to them. It was funny.
Well, I loved it when she talked to Louis Anderson and she was like, Louis, somebody says.
Yeah. All right. Yep. Weakest link, instant classic. And Jane does a good job too. Okay. Whammy. Let's see.
Again, my number one favorite.
That's your number one favorite.
Yeah.
I think
Press
I would.
your luck.
My number one favorite.
Sorry.
I would put it. I'd put Whammy as great.
Yeah.
David, what would you say?
Either good or great, but I don't care which one.
Yeah, it's great. The prizes are admittedly cheap. You know, for 2002, the prizes were like a camera and some other things. The double whammies were good, but the general consensus among the game show community I know is that they kind of lost their luster after a few days, and it seemed like too much like Double Dare, having slime and not slime, but like stuff fall on you. Although if you ever watched the Filipino version of Whammy, they actually got dirtier and slime.
You mean Whammy Push Your Luck?
Yeah, Whammy Push Your Luck. That's right. I think I talked to Todd Newton about that back when I interviewed him. He was like, "Yeah, I've seen the Filipino version. All we did was just hose them down. They actually slimed them over there." Turning.
We have 20 more. We have 28 more shows to go. So.
Oh God. Okay, I think.
Okay, thank you, statistician.
Okay, Wheel 2000. Another like similar to Jep. It was just a kid's version of Wheel of Fortune. Where would you want to put it?
Never seen an episode of that, so
I'll put it as average. Okay. Next, Winning Lines, a show hosted by Dick Clark in the 2000, I want to say, and it tried experimenting with computers and the new technology of the time. I would. Where did I put it? I would say good. I had Dick Clark, so that was good.
No.
Next up, Winning Streak with Bill Cullen, a short-lived thing. I'd put it as meh.
You saw that game, Triple Nickel, that walk off to end the game. He's supposed to be an all-star. I mean, he's supposed to be an all-star.
All right. Next up, there's Wipeout, another show hosted by Peter Tamarkin. I've seen it a few times. I think it's average.
Not the obstacle course.
No. Completely different.
I would rather watch that.
I bet. Yeah.
Same.
Completely different. Okay. Next up, a little show called Wheel of Torture, hosted by a guy.
Who are you trying to pull again?
A guy hosted by Pat Sajak, and it's an instant classic. I think that's how to name that.
Instant classic.
Yep.
Started with Chuck Woolery for the first 7 years.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Then Pat Sajak for decades and decades, and now Mr. Ryan Seacrest himself
And Mike Richards. No, that was Jeopardy. Although I said in 2019 that Mike Richards would make a great Wheel of Fortune host, but then I was almost far. I was a little close. I wasn't too far off. All I had to say was Jeopardy. But I think I predicted that Jennings would be a good Jeopardy host. But that was 2019, and we weren't even thinking along the lines that Alex was sick. Well, no, we did know he was sick, but like, yeah, well.
Yeah. All right, next one.
Wheel of Fortune, my number 7 favorite game show, in between Price is Right and Match Game.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep, Wheel of Fortune, instant classic. Group of pill pushers. Yes, Bob Goen and Wolf Panushka.
And also Susan Richardson as the letter turner, followed by Vanna White.
Susan Stafford, right?
Oh, Susan Stafford.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yep, Wheel of Fortune, instant classic, and a group of pill pushers right in the butt, and yeah. Wheel of Fortune. Next one. What the hell is this? Oh, your number is up. I'll put it as average. From what I know.
I've never heard of that one.
Let me look it up just to be on the safe side, because I haven't heard that much.
Susan Stafford is still alive today at the age of 79.
Oh, it was hosted by the poet laureate Nipsey Russell, and it lasted for 3 months. Well, I'll put it in math for that one. Okay. Next up, are you smarter than a fifth grader? I think it's good.
Yeah, good. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Who said anything about a horse? Exactly. That's another great wheel of clip. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? Hosted by Jeff Foxworthy.
Both.
We're not gonna. I don't want to talk
Both
about
the original and the first reboot.
Yeah.
I was trying to say.
And then followed later by a second reboot on Nickelodeon, hosted by Cena for some reason.
David, what were you gonna say?
Susan Stafford is still alive today at the age of 79.
All right.
And she was from Massachusetts.
All right.
Then Massachusetts.
Another funny tidbit about Wheel of Fortune is that around this time last year, Chuck Woolery stated that him and Pat Sajak never met. That was a lie.
Yep.
Anyway,
All right, but are you smarter than a fifth grader? It's basically taking 5 kids that are reaching the grade of fifth, and having contestants play for up to 1,250,000 or 100,000.
Yeah, and it also had some child actors played the students at the time, like Madison Pettis. I remember was on that show. Ariel Winter might have been on it, but I definitely remember Madison from Cory in the House on that show. And then there were some others I remember, like people, because when I would watch that when I was 9 years old, I'd be like, "Hey, I know them. They're from Disney Channel," and they would be one of the students playing it. So maybe they had actual students and then child actors. Yes, Laura Marano was there. Yeah, from Austin and LA. That's right. Yeah, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Good.
Yep.
I enjoyed playing along with it. Okay. Next show, Blackout. Have either of you seen this one?
No.
I thought I saw like a 5-minute review of it for some reason, but I don't quite remember.
I would actually put it as good. It was hosted by Bob Goen, and it was a show. Let me see.
I think if I remember correctly, I saw a clip of Blackout with the host Bob Goen, him and his hair and his mustache.
Yeah.
Oh god.
That's crazy.
How Blackout would work is that let's see. So there'd be 2 teams of 2 people, and one person would have to give a description of something. So let's say this. Let's say to David, I'm describing McDonald's for 10 seconds, and you would put a group of earmuffs on so you couldn't hear what I was saying. I would record a description for 10 seconds talking about it, and then you would take your headphones off, and then the other team would get to mute out or black out, as I should say, audio of that description. So they would get to black out like 6 or 7. I forget how much they could. But your object was to figure out what I was talking about based off of the limited audio that you had, because they would get to black out a lot of it. Tough game, but fun to play along with.
Jeez, I've watched a lot of games.
Kind of ahead of its time. It was 1987.
And it was one of those shows that tried to replace the $25,000 pyramid for a while.
Yeah.
They and then after like a couple weeks, they decided, forget that show. Let's get back to the $25,000 pyramid until Ray Combs' Family Feud shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, I never thought you watched too many game shows that I never heard of in my lifetime.
Well, I was introduced to Blackout by another friend, so.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Blackout. It was fun for what it was. Kind of ahead of its time. Okay, next up is Brain Surge.
I put that as great.
What did I? Oh, I fucked up. I put your numbers up in. Hold on, let me find it. Brain Surge, not horrible. Brain Surge, you put it in great.
Yes.
Okay, that's one of the few Nickelodeon game shows I saw, hosted by the great Jeff Sutphin. I know a few people who might want to get me in trouble for not putting it as an instant classic, but I put it as great.
Yeah, I put it as great. Jeff Sufston, he would go on later to do ABC's 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show, plus another Nickelodeon reboot, Nickelodeon's Figure It Out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Brain Surge, yeah, good show. Great show, actually. Okay. Next up, Beat the Clock. Well, I mean, it was one of the classic shows of the 50s. I know that. And then Monty Hall tried it for a short time in the late 70s.
Yeah, put on great.
Put it on great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next up is Family Challenge. Oh, this is a sad.
Yeah, Beat the Clock is one of the granddaddies of all like stunt game shows.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's like, an early version of that's what Minute to Win It kind of got inspiration from, you could say. Minute to Win It is like Beat the Clock for the modern day on steroids. Similar to how people would compare stuff like American Idol and America's Got Talent to The Gong Show, because it's basically just people performing for a group of judges.
Okay.
Yeah, Family Challenge. It's a sad show because this was the last show Ray Combs ever hosted. I haven't seen that. Admittedly, I haven't seen that much of the show, but I assume it was a fun show. But I think I'll put it in average.
Okay.
It was hosted by Ray, and then after Ray had passed away, they replaced him with Michael Berger, who later hosted Match Game '98. But yeah, Family Challenge, average. Okay, next up is Funhouse. Do we know anything about this, gentlemen?
I've heard of it, but
No.
I don't. It's like a another type of game show for Double Dare, somewhat.
I'll put it.
If I can't remember.
I've heard good things about it. So
yeah, I've seen like a few clips of it. I think it's like a Double Dare spin-off in a way, but I don't remember. I could be wrong.
Okay, next up is Gambit, which is the show. Catch 21 kind of got inspiration from. Where do we put it as good?
Yeah, I put it on good.
Okay. No, next up, Hollywood Showdown, a show knowing all things celebrities, music, or movies, hosted by my buddy Todd Newton.
Before Whammy.
Yes, just a couple of years before Whammy. It ran concurrently on PAX and then Game Show Network. I'd put it as good.
Never seen it in the show, so.
Oh well, it's good. Next up is this is a show that you should have asked Mark Wahlberg about, David. The Moment of Truth.
Well, he told me to ask him about Russian roulette.
That's right, I did. Yeah, I made David go up to Mark Wahlberg and say, "Oh, I like Russian roulette," and Mark's like, "Oh, good, yeah." Okay, but The Moment of Truth was a show. Basically, imagine people asking, no. You would get, the contestant would get hooked up to a lie detector, and then you would have their closest family members and friends in front of them, and then they would admit their worst secrets.
Wow.
I remember seeing a board game version of that as a kid, but I couldn't understand any of that.
That's Pat Murphy's favorite board game. Basically, you could. It had a fake lie detector, so basically you can have your friends over and say, "Hey, did you do this?" No, that was a lie. Oh well. Yeah, Moment of Truth, horrible. I would put it there. Okay. Even worse than Take It All. Because at least Take It All had some fun parts of it. The Moment of Truth is just sad. Seeing people ruin their lives to win $100,000 or $1 million, however the fuck money it was. Okay. Supermarket Sweep, hosted by Mr. Dave Ruprecht. A show that got people asking David Ruprecht for feet pics.
Oh.
And then we had, I think it's a great show. It lasted a long time, and it has a spot in the classic field for the classic game show fans, and it was on Buzzer.
And then rebooted later for 2 seasons on ABC.
Yes. Oh, yes, with Leslie Jones. Mm-hmm.
I was a little unsure with Leslie Jones hosting.
I thought she did okay.
Yeah, I got somewhat all right. It's just I think the jokes were just taking over.
David, you're gonna screen something. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yep, there he is.
Hi, Mark. We gotta have
So
Mark on this show.
I met 3 game show hosts in person. Drew Carey, George Gregg, and Mark L. Wahlberg. That's 3.
Mark L. Wahlberg said that when he did Russian Roulette, he did it for me. He only did it for one person. Okay. Next up. That's the question. This was a show hosted by Bob Goen, also hosted Wheel of Fortune for a year, and then that Blackout show we talked about earlier.
I'll put it as good.
You put it as good? Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good concept.
Yeah. It's kind of like, wasn't it like Wheel of Fortune, because you only have a few letters show up at a time, and then you would have to read out. The idea was you'd have to read out the whole question and then answer it yourself if you get bonus points. But yeah, it was another one.
There was no wheel involved. It was
I know that.
just the letters going stop ding.
Yeah.
For this many points, and that's to answer a question.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I liked what I saw of it.
And then after like the first season, they changed the look.
Yeah. Yeah, they taped the first season in the Netherlands, kind of like how they did with Bingo. Okay, yeah, that's the question. That was another show. Yeah, GSN original from 2006-07 for those who want to get the idea. And when me and my friend went to see Wheel of Fortune live a couple of years ago, and Bob Goen was the host, we wanted to joke and say, "Hey, that's the question, Blackout," but nothing happened. I wanted to say, "Oh, Bob's looking forward to That's the Question live." Could you imagine? Or Roger Lodge can go on tour and do Camouflage live. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay. Next up, Think Fast, hosted by Skip Laggy. I put it as average. I don't know that much about it, to be frank with you. Oh shit.
What happened?
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have To Tell the Truth. I think that's an instant classic, right?
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum. Oh yes, Michael Carrington. That's right. I knew it was somebody else on that Think Fast show. Yes.
I don't remember a lot of the hosts on this show. I do remember John O'Hurley and Anthony Anderson.
Yeah, the most recent ones. Yeah, but it was hosted by Bud Collier and then Joe Garagiola and then Gary Moore. Gary Moore is probably my favorite, but John O'Hurley did a decent job at it, and so did Anthony Anderson. And then, of course, in 1990, they had like 6 different hosts. They had Gordon Elliott, they had Alex Trebek, and they had Lynn Swan.
The part of the John O'Hurley version I liked was that the audience also gets to decide, not just the panelists.
Yeah. My name is David St. Dennis.
Yes.
And what is your name?
David St. Dennis.
Yeah. And number 3, what is your name?
My name is David St. Dennis.
One of these 3 is the real David St. Dennis, but you can only know that's the truth. Okay.
We had to do the whole joke. Here's interesting things. I think it was like an African woman, somebody named Barbara, was on the show.
Which one?
I don't quite remember that one. I guess while you look it up, I'll bring up another one. To tell the truth, I do remember somebody named Ted Geisel. Who happens to be the real Dr. Seuss.
Oh, yes.
He was on that show.
Like Dr. Seuss.
That's right.
And then I
That's
think
nice.
no, that was I've Got a Secret, right? The show where they had the last living witness to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Was that I've Got a Secret?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
That
very
moment right there. They had
Okay.
people from past centuries on
good. Yep, can't do that anymore. Well, I guess you could, but not from the 1800s. Okay, you have to tell the truth, instant classic. Okay, next up, let me move some of these around here. Okay, let's go with Legends of the Hidden Temple. I would put it as, I know it has a special spot in a lot of Nickelodeon fans' hearts, so should we put it as great or good?
I would say good.
Good. All right.
Yeah, we could put it as good. And for some reason, it has a movie.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I saw that movie. And I'm like, okay, I suppose they're trying. Somewhat.
Yeah. I know.
And then it came back later as an adult version on not Nickelodeon, but another network.
CW, I think it was.
Possibly, yeah, that might be what I was thinking.
Mm.
Yeah, Joshua's going to be disappointed because I didn't put it as a constant classic, but oh well. Okay. There we go. Okay, next is Win, Lose, or Draw, a fun show hosted by Bert Convy and then Nikki Lawrence and then some other people. Bert Convy's my favorite version of it, but I would put it as... You could put it as good. It's fun.
Yeah.
It had a 1980s Dan Schneider before he got on Nickelodeon back when he was just doing the TV show Head of the Class. So that was fun to see.
Mm.
Next up is Candy Crush. I would put that as meh.
Okay, I found to tell the truth. Yes, I was talking about Rosa Parks.
Oh, yes, Rosa Parks. She was on the Robin Ward version in 1980, wasn't it? Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Thank God I
What's
found
next?
that.
All right.
Who
Candy
wants to go
Crush,
first?
hosted by Mario Lopez. Yeah, we need to update this tier list with some more recent shows.
Was this before or after X Factor?
This is back in
US.
2021, this tier list.
Was what? Candy Crush?
I'm saying 2021 was when this tier list was made.
Yeah, but the Candy Crush show was in 2017.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so after X Factor,
Yeah.
US version.
Okay. Next one is The Great Getaway Game.
Never heard of that one.
Never me either. Let me see if I can find anything about it first. Great Getaway Game show. Okay. Of course, it was hosted by Wink Martindale, and it lasted for almost a year. It was one of those games of 90, as Cindy Seidelman says. Okay, it's probably that. Next up, one of my favorites, Cram, a show where you could get people to stay up 24 hours and study your stupid lists and then try to win $10,000. What would we say about this one?
I would put it as great.
You put it as great.
And later, long after that, Netflix would try a show where contestants have to stay up 24 hours. And that show was called Awake.
Yeah.
Wow.
David, you know what Pat said the other night? He said that if he won $1 million, he would. Brandon, you'll appreciate this too. Pat said that if he won $1 million, he would rent the equipment and shoot a real episode of Cram, like for us,
Oh my.
and get 4 people to stay up and host it and everything. Could you imagine? He would like rent the shopping mall and the equipment to get the set built and everything.
Oh my God! Well, just don't
That
have
makes
me
sense.
playing that game. I'll be dying.
Now, one show that's not on this list, which I'm kind of surprised about, I want to mention is Dog Eat Dog, show hosted by Brett Burns from 2002-03 on NBC. On that show, a guy almost drowned Like they got him out of the water and they edited it well, but they just didn't have him play in the bonus trivia round. But the guy he tried to sue the show because apparently he got brain damage, but the show didn't give him anything because he signed the agreement before the show, like, hey, you know what you're getting into. And this was the first taped episode too, so kind of a rocky
this
start.
isn't the first time a dog contestant almost drowned.
What's that?
This isn't the first time a dog contestant almost drowned.
Oh, was there another one?
Well, okay, maybe it was the first, but this wasn't the only time. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there were like 2 other contestants that almost drowned.
Oh God.
Drowned, and they had to get like the stunt crew to the scuba divers to get her out of the water.
Ooh. The one I'm referring to is his name was Darren Goka, I want to say, but yeah, he was so bad that he just didn't participate in the bonus round, and they just said Darren has elected not to participate. They didn't say why or anything. It's kind of well put together, but
Summer Sanders, who's Summer Sanders?
she was the host of Figure It Out, right?
Oh, so long before Jeff Sufston.
Yeah.
What's next, Danny?
Not Bernie Sanders, Summer Sanders. Yeah, she was the host of Figure It Out. Okay. Yeah, Doggy Dog was on this list. I'd probably put it as good. Not great. Even, well, yeah, good. Okay. Next up, one of my favorites, Divided. Where do we put it?
I put it in horrible, but this is
put it. David, where would you put Divided?
I would say good.
Good. Yeah, I think it's good enough.
Yeah.
Certainly not as good as Friend or Foe, but I do enjoy seeing the people yell at each other saying, no, I deserve the money. No, I deserve the money. And Mike is like, you're wasting time. No, I deserve the money. No, forget it. And then they all win with nothing. I love when that happens. Okay. Let's do Bumper Stumpers, a show from Canada, I think. It was a good show.
Okay.
Never heard of that.
Never heard of Bumper Stumpers?
No.
My dad said he liked that too. And finally, Poor Man's Family Feud, America Says. I think I'd put it as good because at least with this show, when it first came out, I didn't like it. And I won't forget, one of my friends said that you have to be dumb in order to play Family Feud, but in order to go on America Says, you have to be retarded. And then, but now watching it recently, it's a good show. You can still play along with it, and it's fun to play along with. And at least you can forget that it's a poor man's Family Feud because it can stand out on its own. And John Michael Higgins does a good job. But unlike Blank Slate, the show the GSN tried doing last year, Blank Slate, it's too much like Match Game, and it just looks cheap. But America Says doesn't look cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to recap, Instant Classic, we got the Pyramids, Card Sharks, Classic Concentration, Deal and No
I
Deal.
have to say every so there, Danny.
Okay, my bad. Well, yeah. Take a look at those. Newlywed, yeah. Camouflage. I'd like to write up some camouflage puzzles. That would be interesting to emulate, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's it.
I would recommend watching Take It All.
I would send that list, that entire tier list to me.
Okay.
Yeah, save it however you do it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah, make sure to save that, Danny. You worked hard on it. Thank you very much, Triple Nickel. And I hope you will be here in live chat next week as well for the Randy West interview. So that's gonna be good. But that's gonna be it for this episode of Chilling3000 Hangouts. Well, actually not yet because you have the baseball segment to play. Which there won't be a baseball segment next week because Joey will be working, and also it's the big 6-year anniversary special, so it's perfect timing on that one. So
thank you.
Yep. So let's get this started, and we'll get started playing the videos. So. thank you very much, Emo, for helping us, and with you, Denny. And, I'll catch you guys in the live chat. And in the meantime, here's the next Midweek Baseball Rundown episode.
Go here. Okay. Welcome to the weekly baseball rundown. I am here with, to my immediate left, Kurt.
Hey, good evening.
I'm here with Jesse. And I'm here with Mr. Salisbury Steak himself, Josh.
Good evening, sir.
We've had a wonderful week of baseball. They've been some good things, some bad things, and I'll lead us off with the number one topic. Arm injuries in baseball. Most people blame the pitch clock. Others blame poor conditioning. Is it because pitchers are not taking better care of themselves, or is it because of the timing of it all? Pitchers aren't going that full 5 anymore, and when they are, they're getting injured. Is it because of the pitching staff, or is it because the trainers are not being trained well enough? Jackson Jobe just went and had Tommy John surgery. He is done for the year. Tigers have been fantastic with their pitching rotation. But my question to you three is, and I'll start with Kurt, is baseball losing more and more arms to Tommy John due to their rule changes or due to poor conditioning? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Go ahead, Kurt.
I suspect the conditioning is not as big an issue as one thinks. You look at some of the pitchers who were around for a long time in the 60s and the 70s, Mickey Lolich being the obvious example, but there are a few others. There were some guys out there who were not the least bit conditioned. One of the most famous pitching coaches back in the day was Johnny Sand, and he completely disdained running for his pitchers. He said, running never got you anywhere. So one of my feelings is, unfortunately, the best way to get batters out is throw the ball as hard as you possibly can. And throwing a baseball as hard as you possibly can is an unnatural motion for the arm. You do that a couple hundred times a week, sooner or later, something's going to start hurting. And my only recommendation is, I know the Orioles tended to do this in the 70s and the 80s, and maybe some other teams are going to do it as well. Maybe instead of having guys come up and be starters right away, maybe they go on the bullpen instead of throwing 150, 200 innings a year and then getting TJ surgery. They start out throwing 50 or 60 innings a year and work their way up. Because, these are still young guys in their early and mid-20s. We'll see. I don't know. There's no one right answer as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I enjoy this philosophy here. Johnny Sane and Warren Spahn were two of the greatest for the Braves staff for the longest time. And I think conditioning isn't the problem either. I think it's just that you're right in this situation, throwing the ball as hard as you can. But it's the thing I learned, and because I ended up having to shadow a couple trainers when I was in college, but it's repetitive motion. It's constant repetitive motion that causes the muscle to start tearing up and everything else. And next thing you know, it's not the rubber band anymore. Because I was talking to these guys about it before. The arm is no longer elastic. The elasticity of the muscles is slowly going away. But I do agree with what you have to say. Jesse, you're up, and David, I'll have you take over for a moment. Sorry about that. Mom needed me to do something real quick. But as we were talking about, and I know, and I caught a little bit what you guys said, and I'll get to Jesse in a moment, but another thing is the knuckleball pitcher is pretty much disappeared off the plane. And the last one I remember is the Orioles guy. I think it was Mickey Janis. He was the last knuckleballer that I know of who's been consistent. But all these pitchers in college now are starting to master the knuckleball, and I think that should be brought back a little bit. Jesse, I'd like to hear what you have to say, please.
I don't know if it's the pitching clock, but I think the pitching clock is just an inconvenience to the pitchers because it makes them have to throw at a more it makes them uncomfortable in my opinion. It makes things uncomfortable because you're being timed to do something that you're not normally used to, and then you have analytics that says you have to do certain things, and nowadays pitchers are throwing fastballs at high amounts every game, and that there's no use of like pitches like the curveball, the knuckleball. You don't see that much anymore. It's always about the spin rate. It's always about throwing and the pitch speed. I mean, that's just my take on it. I don't think it's conditioning. I think it's a constant throwing, and your arm just over time, the joint there just
Yeah, the
goes.
UCL, and because more often than not, it's the constant overusage of the UCL, because there is a guy who went on to become a doctor. His name was Mike Marshall. And I know some of you guys know who he is, some of you don't. But back in 1974, well over 50 years ago now, 51 years, Mike Marshall appeared in 108 games. No one's done it now. No one's done it since. But he said he ended up pitching so often that he didn't, and he studies it now and everything, and he's tried to teach people to do a different motion. But I always wonder if it's a combination of the stress on the joint and everything else, which causes more problems. But pitchers back in the 70s didn't throw as hard. And my biggest example is the, I don't know how to say his last name, and I'm afraid of screwing it up, but it's the guy from the Pirates. He pitched for them in 2 different World Series, I believe, in 71 and 79. His name was Kent Tulikel, I think? Tekulve. But he had one of the strangest, him and Quisenberry both had 2 of the strangest deliveries I've ever seen. But I wonder if it's the delivery, because if I think of somebody like that, I think of the modern example of Tim Lincecum and his motion, which caused him to only have like a 10-year career, where his mechanics and everything else, and that's what I think of. Josh, it'd be your turn right now. I'm sorry, I know I'm getting a little off course here.
No, you're fine. I'm going to go on the other side of this argument and hit on the conditioning a little bit, because of what I've seen with my own hometown team. We had 2 pitchers that had what they're calling major injuries. I'll bring up the easiest one that hits for conditioning for me. Shota Imanaga right now is down at Iowa. He's just now he finally threw a full game today. And the reason he was on the IL was a hamstring, because he was getting over to first base to cover it. Now, to me, that's a short distance, and you should be able to make that without pulling a hamstring muscle. But this is where I think the trainers do need to spend a little time with these pitchers, conditioning their almost the entire body, the arms, the legs. And then you had Justin Steele. Why did I blank on that? He had Tommy John surgery, and he's obviously out for the year, and who knows what he's going to be like when he gets back, because he's going to lose a lot. I think he's going to lose a lot of that, because they always seem to, after they've had the surgery, they lose some of that edge. But the trainers, I think, and I've known a couple MLB trainers, they need to spend time with their pitchers and get them on a decent regimen to avoid these minor injuries like the hamstrings and the obliques, and it's those things. And the pitch clock honestly doesn't help either. Does it speed the game up? Yes, but it's frustrating for a pitcher to get a pitch clock violation if you're not engaged by 8 seconds.
I like that. I like both sides of this argument here. The longevity thing, you guys probably don't know where I'm going to go with this, but I'm going to go right and hit this on the head now. Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan was one of the hardest throwing pitchers out there. He struck out over 5,700 people. No one's touched 5,000 strikeouts, and I don't think they ever will again. But they showed him as he got older, when he got up to age 46 and when his arm finally gave out in the last start of 93. But what he did was he was constantly in the gym. He wasn't overworking. He wasn't hitting like 500 pounds on the bench press, but he was doing little things like just little small things to keep his body healthy. Like he was doing leg press. He was doing the seated leg press and stuff like that. He was doing motions where he was using lighter weights. He wasn't using like a dumbbell or anything, but he was using weighted balls like they do now, where I think that conditions the arm. But this leads to something else that I feel is going to cause a little bit of problems. Is it too much of an emotional toll on the game now based off what the umpires are doing to these pitchers? Because I've talked to Josh about this, and I talked to David about this, because they've both had issues with umpires recently. Umpires affect the game more often than we think, and this is where I get into this. The ABS system is supposed to come into baseball soon. I want to know how you guys think about it. Is it going to take away from the game? Is it going to hurt the game, or is it going to make it better? All they're basically doing now is a batter is allowed to tap their helmet now and test the strike zone. Say if it's a ball or a strike, where it's located. But, Kurt, I'll let you go ahead and go first on this. Is it going to change the game for better or worse?
I think I'm in favor of this. I haven't seen the technology, but I'm sure all of you, like me, have seen some of the YouTube videos where we're seeing umpires who are calling pitches way outside the strike zone as strikes, or they're calling pitches that are inside the strike zone as balls. It's very frustrating to the batters, and in some cases to the pitchers as well. The announcers tend to keep their mouths shut unless it's blatantly obvious. I also think one of the things that might help is that if the umpire is taken out of the equation, a batter can't call time and say, hey, in the middle of a pitcher's windup and say, hey, I need time. So that's going to be an automatic strike. Or a pitcher tries to hold up their motion, and as you noted, that's where they get hurt. So let's give it a shot, see what happens. It seems to be working in the minor leagues, at least to the point where nobody's complaining about it, or I haven't heard huge complaints about it. In spring training next year, I'm sure you will hear complaints about it, but let's give it a shot, see what happens. It took the NFL a few years to get instant replay right, but they did eventually. Major League Baseball can do it too.
The one that pissed me off the most is not involving Angel Hernandez, but it was the Kansas City Royals' Josh Staumont in Kansas City. 100-mile-an-hour fastball, ball one. Right down the middle. No way, no how should a pitch that far down the middle should be called a ball anyway. I don't care what the umpires saw or what they didn't saw. You are the catcher. You catch the ball in the middle of the strike zone, and you look back at Leslie Nielsen back there, and he claims he didn't see it. I'd be pissed. Jesse, your turn.
Yeah, like it's insane how these umpires are getting away with calling like obvious balls. Like the last game I saw, the clip David showed me was when the game was on the line and the guy obviously threw a ball down and away from the strike zone, and the game was pretty much over. The umpire called strike three, and that was it. And I was like, that was clearly not a strike. That was a ball. You know, I even saw it in Houston too. I think it was last season when clearly those were not strikes. The umpire, I think this system would better the game of baseball, because, you know, missed calls like that ruin games.
They do. They really do. And the one that you're associating with was Wyatt Langford. Angel Hernandez was the umpire for that one. all the pitches were at least 6 inches, if not more, off the outside edge. I'm sorry, but the only reason a pitch should ever be called a ball is if it misses the strike zone, it's in the dirt, or this third thing is if it's, everyone should know what a cross-up is. It's when a pitcher throws a pitch that the catcher didn't catch in the right zone, and it's considered a ball. But the strike zone has changed, and I'm not going to give that to the umpires. Like, there's plenty of umpires that have been doing this far too long. They're far too sensitive now and have not taken control of their emotions, like Derek Thomas in Detroit the other day. And this is where I lead him in. Josh, let him have it. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm in agreement with everybody, I think, where I say let's give ABS a try. Because after what I saw in Detroit and one day in where were we? Philly this week. And the umpire, Derek Thomas, was a rookie umpire. I had to do a little research on this. Was a rookie umpire, and he was just, his strike zone and ball zone was all over the place. It wasn't consistent. And finally, Nico Horner, not ticked off at him or anything, just turned around to him and said, "You're having a really bad day, aren't you?" And got tossed. Then the manager comes out and gets tossed in defense of his player. And go Craig Counsell, thank you very much. But what he said to that umpire was not ejectable. He like Joey and I were talking earlier, the guy just got his feelings hurt. And he's a rookie umpire. A rookie umpire has no place behind the strike zone right away. They've got to get a couple of years under their belt first, I think. Now, in regards to ABS taking away some parts of the game, the human part of the game, I do agree with that a little bit. But with these umpires being the way they are lately, let's give ABS a try and see if that works.
There's no such thing as I will put this bluntly. There's no such thing as the perfect umpire. There's no such thing as a perfect game. Most recently with Umpire Auditor, which I follow on X, they show who misses the call and why. I get there's human error in this sport. I know there's going to be missed calls, but it should never affect the outcome of a ball game because an umpire is too stubborn to change their call, go to replay, or get it right. Joe Torre is still the head of the umpires, and he's getting up in age. But he was a catcher, and that's why I give him credit. Catchers know more about being behind home plate than anybody else. They should know what they're talking about. And for the last one here, I'm going down on the farm, and no, you can't call me Cletus. But what we're going to do now is Houston's got a farm team. The Mets have their farm team, and the Cubs have their farm team, which is funnily enough in Iowa, which is where it looks like we are right now. But does your farm team affect you the most right now if you're in your GM's shoes? Because each team is different, and if you've traded away a lot of prospects, are you going to be able to heal enough with this draft coming up this month, I believe? Are you going to have enough players to go around? Kurt, for the farm, how are the Mets looking right now?
Right now, the Mets are looking pretty decent on the farm. The AAA team's not doing great. They're 29 and 35 as I speak. But here's the thing: the AAA teams at this point, for a lot of teams, they're basically the guys who are sitting there waiting to make the majors. They're not not all filled with guys who are going to be first round prospects. A lot of them, their top prospects now play at AA. So I'm not super concerned about it right now. The Mets are in a big hot streak. So what they're probably looking for me at this point is maybe another guy or two who might help them out, especially at the dish, because they could use a few more hits. Pitching wise, man, they're going to get Sean Manaea back in a week or two. They're going to get Frankie Montas back in a couple weeks. They don't know what to do with Tyler McGill and David Peterson, who have been filling in the starting rotation. Peterson pitched a complete game shutout this evening. So all of a sudden it's like, what do I do with this guy? So I'm not worried about it for arms. I think the farm system right now, they're doing okay. The Mets have done a lot better over the last couple of years of building up a farm system. One of the things you want with a AAA team is make sure they are close by, that they're maybe a couple hundred miles away at the most. So that if something happens, you can rush a guy in the next day and have him as a replacement. For a couple of years in the late 2010s, the Mets AAA farm team was in Las Vegas, almost 3,000 miles away. That was not a good situation. The Wilpons messed that up big time. They own the Syracuse franchise now, so that's not going to happen again. But I'm pretty confident that that system has been a top 15 to 20 system, 10 to 15 system over the last couple of years. I think they're set up for a good run in the fall without necessarily needing somebody superstar out of the minor leagues.
And that's why I love to hear, and Kurt is 100% right on this, because I remember now that they have the Syracuse team in Syracuse, I remember they had Norfolk and then they had Las Vegas. You can't have a team that's too far away, because if you're in a game where you're, say, where the team, your AAA team is in Las Vegas and you're on the other side of the border, I'm using this as a thing, not reality, but if you're in Toronto and you're trying to play an interleague game, a doubleheader, you got to get these guys to drive all the way up there, catch a quick flight. They won't be there. But I know, because I'll go to Jesse next, because they got Sugarland over there, and I know Sugarland isn't too far from Houston, if I know my geography right.
Yeah, Sugarland's not that far. Well, the Astros farm system is ranked 29 right now, but you know, we've been the bottom with Los Angeles, which is not good. I mean, granted, we've been to the playoffs 9 times and won 7 American League division titles and reached 7 AL Championship Series, won 4 AL pennants and 2 World Series crowns, but we've never really, we're always trading for prospects. We've never, like, I think the only prospect I've seen so far from the Astros farm system was Pena. I think the Astros could do a better job at bringing in more homegrown talents instead of having to trade for like DeCenzo or Smith, which was from I don't know where DeCenzo came from, but I know Cam Smith came from Chicago due to that Kyle Tucker trade. But I think, I mean, we could do better. It's not the best, but
I know for a fact that it's been a decade now, a little more than a decade, since Houston's had that point where they've had to rebuild their farm system. And that's always hard for teams like that, especially when they've been competitive. Sometimes you have to rebuild, redevelop, retool. But for the most part, it's not as easy unless you get rid of these big names and everything else like Kyle Tucker. So I'm going to go to Josh. I know it's Iowa for the Cubs. The Iowa Cubs, they've been there forever, and you pretty much can't get rid of that name because Iowa is not too far from Chicago, so they could basically jump on the back of a hay truck and go up there themselves. Well, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, and that works fine when we're playing at Wrigley. But if we're across the country in California or one of the West Coast states, we have a hard time getting players there. We had to actually send a player to Chicago and then throw him on a plane to get to the West Coast because he had stuff at Wrigley they wanted to give him before he went to the West Coast, and it just delayed things. Right, we're not in the top 10 for farm systems right now, but we're okay. The thing I see them having a problem with is catchers and pitchers right now. Catchers, especially because we have Miguel Amaya is also out on the IL with an oblique strain, so we have Carson Kelly filling in a lot of games. The one good thing is in the farm system, we do have Moises Ballesteros who can play first base and catching. Now he prefers first base and hasn't caught a game except the one we have him catch one game, and he did okay with it. But I think we need to get more pitchers and catchers, because if you lose a catcher, that could cost you a game. That could cost you a series. It could cost you a game, and we're not good with that yet.
No. And my number one pet peeve now is this, with the 26-man roster. And this was not a pet peeve before, but it is now. You used to have a third-string catcher. And I know this ain't, and I know I'm not 30 yet. I shouldn't know a lot of this stuff I know. But the third-string catcher did this on his days off. He went and sat in the bullpen. They have a bullpen catcher now, so they don't have to do this anymore. But the third-string catcher used to go warm up the pitcher in the bullpen. The starting catcher would be the one who'd be helping him out. But the backup catcher is always there ready, because you have to have a bullpen catcher now, and then the third string's down in the bullpen. So that way, if your first string catcher gets hurt, like what happened with the A's with Langoliers, now they've got McIver, and now they got Pareda. You have to carry at least 3 catchers. I know that seems taboo now, but you got with the 26-man roster, you can have up to 3 extra players or 4 extra players on your bench, but you got to have 5 starters and 6 relievers at least. That's why with the double headers and everything else, they give you that 27th player. But you always have to think, do I need the bench guy or do I need the pitcher? Because you never know when a guy's going to blow out his arm, or you're going to need a guy. But I think the third catcher is always and forever going to be my soapbox that I'm going to stand on, because catcher is one of the most demanding positions in baseball. And I'll leave on that. Thank you guys again for enjoying this weekly baseball rundown. I know a lot of the stuff I'm saying right now may seem foreign to a lot of people, but this was baseball a long time ago, and it's continuously evolving. But for Kurt, Jesse, Josh, and myself, we will run down some baseball again soon. Unfortunately, just not next week. I will not be here. But thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful time. And remember, baseball is a game, and games are supposed to be fun. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us here. Bye-bye.